through here, so I don't know how that comes out. Push it out and down. This is never going back together, guys. Alright, so today we are going to be taking apart our binnacle. The starboard shift goes into gear fine, but pulling it back, trying to get back into neutral, it just binds up. You put some force on it, it'll go through, but then you ought to always go back to reverse. I did some investigating already. I disconnected the shift cable from the motor, and it's the same problem. So pretty sure it's our binnacle. And I took it apart once already, and the throttle portion, or throttle controls in the binnacle, are very easy to get to, but the shift portion is behind all of that, so I'm going to have to pull it out of the boat, take it apart on the bench, and take a look at it. So it's just 4 screws holding the cover down, and I already broke 2 of these off the last time I was messing with it, and we'll get those off and take a look. It's got these little tabs down here. There we go. Alright, so our cover's out of the way, and this is just two binnacles bolted together and then bolted into the dash. And there's 4 screws holding it down, and then there's also 2 from the side. And I believe I've got to pull these 4 out to get the room to remove the other 2. And then it's just going to be fishing the throttle and shift cables up from behind so I can disconnect the 2 of them. We're going to pull these 4 out of the side and then just pull it up. Now this will all just pull up, and as you can see, it is just 2 different pieces bolted together. I think there's 1, 2, 3 screws. That's it. Just 3 screws holding these 2 sandwiched together. And I'll go ahead and yank those out. I don't know what that was. I took off the wrong screw. That's what that was. Let's go ahead and put that back on. We don't need to remove that one. So it's 1 screw on one side, 1 screw on the other side, and then 1 screw down on the bottom. And this bottom one, first time I took these apart, I didn't have enough cable length to pull this up. It was really difficult to reach. And there's a nut on the back side that'll fall off. So I'm going to put my finger back there and then stretch this out. And we've got our screw over here. Alright, so now these things are disconnected and the screw's trying to fall down. Alright, so our binnacles are disconnected, and then we've got 2 screws on the bottom holding this cover on. We'll just yank those off. Be careful not to drop anything because it will go down into your console. And we've got fresh grease on everything. And I got this far previously. I did not want to have to disconnect my throttle and shift cables. It's not a big deal, but it felt like one, getting this out of the boat. Got a little clip. Let's disconnect the electrical. Again, once I disconnect these, I don't want to have to keep track of where they go. So, top. I'm only going to label the top one. And just 2 little E-clips. I don't know if you've seen our squall reel rebuild video, or repair video, but these things like to fly across the shop, so be careful. Alright. It's easy enough. Our bottom one. Again, covered in grease. Helped retain it. So now, pull out our shift cables. It should just pop out. It's just 2 little screws. I'm going to go ahead and disconnect that. It's going to be easier than trying to find the connector down in the console. So we've got one out. Looks like there's a little spacer that goes between the two. Everybody help me remember to put that back in. And then this slides out. So now we have our starboard motor control binnacle disconnected. Let's go to the workbench. This is our throttle up here. See, everything moves nice and easy. And then, well, it appears that our shift moves nice and easy, so it may be a cable problem after all. Yeah, that feels good. So let me see how that shift cable feels. Feels pretty good. I'm going to go disconnect it from the motor real quick just to be certain that this cable moves freely. Alright, so motor shifts easily. I don't know if you can. Our shift linkage is right here on these motors. Just jab myself with a clip. Be careful down there. Now the cable should just move back and forth real easily, but it doesn't. So I think we may actually have a bad cable. Alright, so I've got a band-aid on my bum finger now, and again, the shift controls felt smooth once we disconnected the binnacle from the cable, and now I've got a screwdriver through the shift cable, and it feels fairly smooth. A little bit of force required to move it, but nothing that I would suspect is being as difficult as it was to actuate the shifter before we took everything apart. So I don't know what's going on, to be honest with you. That moves just fine. Alright, so shift cable is reconnected. We're back in neutral, and we'll go ahead and finish taking apart our binnacle and just grease everything. I mean, it's off the boat already, so don't really know what's going on with our shifting issue. Alright, so we've got our binnacle on the workbench, and we're going to go ahead and rip into this thing and see what the bottom side underneath the throttle linkage looks like. Alright, 2 longs and 2 shorts. Alright, Alfonso, you watching? In case this thing goes flying.
Okay, we're ready.
Alright, didn't go far. Packed that full of fresh grease. Last time I took this apart, looks like I need to loosen our friction screw. So this screw right here is what holds tension on your throttle so it doesn't move around when you're bouncing through waves. Let's just loosen this up. Yeah, it just slides right off once it's loose. You know, everything really looks good in here. No. Alright, tab goes to the back right here. Hopefully this will pop out now. Yeah, friction screws out. This cover, I'm just trying to get back here to our push button. Everything really feels good. Do you know where this E-clip came from?
Oh man, I don't know.
I didn't take it off. Maybe that was our problem. So, found an extra E-clip. It's not covered in grease or anything. No telling where it belongs. But since we're here, we're going to go ahead and rip this thing all the way apart. So we're gonna pull this off. It's a M10, another M10. Just trying to keep my parts lined up in the order I took them off. These are travel limit screws. I don't want to mess with those, but I don't know that I can get the screws out behind them, so that's kind of disappointing. So they give you a hard stop over here. We're hitting that travel limit. Gives you a hard stop in forward and reverse. So we're still going to dive into it, because these guys are connected somewhere. How we count that? We can mark it. So we're going to count rotations coming. All right, that's 1, 2, 9. So 9 from when it's flush with the top. That spun at least half a turn on me. So got that back in position. 1, 11 turns from flush.
11.
All right, so we got our forward and reverse stops out, and now we should be able to unbolt this whole plate. We got our 6 screws out. Yeah, those are long, and those went all the way through into something. And our our throttle is in the up position. All right, so this is what I couldn't reach before, and I wanted to put some grease on it. I mean, it looks well lubed. This whole linkage moves effortlessly. I don't see any crazy wear. You know, a little bit of dirty grease. We can put some new in. And then over here, got our shift spring and all that. I'll definitely put some linkage in here. Sorry, some grease on the linkage. This is our detent that holds us in neutral, fast idle. That's what that detent is. I guess we have to remove this screw to get everything all the way off. Well, it screws out, but we got the pin through here, so I don't know how that comes out. Push it out and down. This is never going back together, guys. All right, our handle's off, and that's it. Complete disassembly of a Yamaha. I think this is like a 704 Binnacle. All right, where's our tube of 24C? Right, actually, that was convenient. A dab of fresh grease back here. See if I just jam a bunch of grease in there. This is way more parts than I was expecting when I started this project. So we've just put some fresh grease in here and our springs up top. I'll even put some grease down here. And this was the whole reason we took everything apart, just to try to reach this linkage. So, gobs of grease. There we go. That's what we need to do, is push the spring down. Got our 6 screws. This rides in the track on the top. Cover. So this whole thing slides up and down under a plastic cover. So, of course, more grease. We had 2 shorts and 2 longs. The short screws are on the top. So now it's all back together, and let's see if it actually works. It may feel a little smoother, but it really wasn't bad to begin with. See if we can disconnect or disengage her. Yep. So we can rev the engine forward and reverse, and then everything works as it should. So we'll get it installed, get the cables back on, and we have a better feel. And we'll snug it down then. Time to climb back on the boat. It's all back together. That felt nice. So forward. We're coming up to the dock, slowing down. We're at idle, and then look at that. Into neutral without going into reverse. So that is how you disassemble, grease, and reassemble a Yamaha 704 Binnacle. And now we can shift from forward to neutral without slamming into reverse. That is nice. It's Marine Tech. Thanks for watching.